In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a beautiful centerpiece using artificial succulents that's perfect for a variety of spots, including dining and breakfast room tables, bars, console tables, all sorts of spots. So if you're interested in how I created this centerpiece, then stay tuned and we'll get started. So let's start with the list of materials that you need to do this. The first is some kind of vessel that you would like to actually use as your planter. Now you can get creative and use a lot of different things. You don't have to just use something like a bowl or a vase meant specifically for that. So what I have here is actually a 3 feet long, some type of feeder, agricultural feeder. And it's very rusty, it's very old. It's something that I picked up at an antique show. And this is what I'm going to be using. But obviously you can use something more refined if you'd like something a little more sophisticated. You can use something more sleek if you want more contemporary, just whatever. If you are going to use something that is made of a metal, especially if it's a rusty metal, then something else you will want is a can of matte spray, or even satin spray would be okay as a clear coat. That's just going to make sure that it keeps it from further rusting. And if you were to use this for like real plants, for instance, you wouldn't want that rust necessarily leaching into the soil. But even if you're not using real plants, you're using artificial, whatever surface you sit it on, you don't want it leaving rust rings, etc. So pick up a can of either a matte or satin clear protective spray and be sure to spray before you get started. Now mine has already been sprayed, so I don't need to do that step. I actually have used this planter before. I actually did this with real succulents about 2 years ago, and it looked great for about 6 months. Then some of the things started, kind of dying because I'm not good with real plants. So finally, once they all kind of died, I decided to do it with artificial succulents. The next thing you need are obviously the succulents that you want to use. And I picked this setup off of Amazon. It has 30 different succulents in it. And I chose that set because I actually looked around several places in person, and most of the places offered things that you could buy individually, which were beautiful, but it was quite pricey to get enough to fill up 3 feet of a planter. And for the places that did have sets, I just wasn't all that impressed with the sets. I didn't think that they had enough texture, enough color variety. They looked kind of cheap. So I went to Amazon, and of course with Amazon you don't really get to see it in person, but I found some that had some really good reviews and was able to get a set with these 30 pieces. If you don't need that many, there are a lot of what appear to be really great sets. So I'll be sure to link to this specific set, and I'll also just link to all of the products other than the planter. Obviously this is kind of a one-of-a-kind item, but I'll be sure to link to all of the products down below so you can find the exact thing that I'm using. The next thing is some floral foam, and this actually came in cylinders that I just cut in half because the shape of my planter is kind of a bowl shape, and so I just cut these in half, and I bought enough to be able to lay that down for the 3 feet here. Then I also bought some small rocks that I'm going to use to cover up the foam and create kind of the layer for what my succulents are going to go into. So the foam is going to really hold them in place a little bit more securely, but then the rock's going to provide just a little bit more stability and also be one option I can use to finish it out. But I did also purchase this package of decorative moss, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use this or not yet, but I may kind of line around on top of the rocks around the succulents with the moss if I want to give it maybe a little bit more colorful finish. So we'll just see. We'll kind of play with that together. So now I'm going to get all of my succulents unpackaged, and we'll get started. I've gotten everything unpackaged, and I have to say I'm really, really pleased with this set. One of the things that I was looking for in coming up with the composition for my centerpiece is succulents in different colors, different shapes, different sizes, heights, etc. And this set has provided a lot of variety. Also, the quality of the pieces I think overall is very good. All of them have some color variation to them, and a lot of them are even slightly textured, which makes it look less plasticky, and that does make it actually look more authentic. So, so far, really, really happy with the set that I chose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rocks and just put it over all the foam to create my substrate, and then I'm going to arrange my succulents kind of in the order that I think I want to put them. And so with that, I'm going to be making sure to spread out the height, the colors, etc. So I don't have a clump all of the tall stuff in the middle going out or something. I mean, obviously it's your design decision when you're doing your own how you want to do it. But since this is long and thin and it's actually going to go behind a sofa, I want to make sure that I've got the height kind of a consistent variation throughout. So my rocks are, I think, pretty good without needing to wash them. They're not really all that dusty. Now, if you were using these rocks with a live planting, or especially if you're using these rocks with something else, because I know these also can be used for fish aquariums and things like that, you probably would want to run them underwater. I don't think I need to do that here. So that amount of rocks did a pretty good job of filling in around my foam, although I do have a few more rocks that once I get everything placed into the foam, I will then be able to go in and kind of fill in around those, but I didn't want to put everything in until I get everything placed. So now I'm just going to kind of take a look at everything that I have here in front of me. So for instance, it came with 2 of these same kind of spiky aloe type looking plants, and they're different colors, but I'm probably going to balance them out by placing, you know, one probably over here and then maybe one over here. And I'm just not putting them in yet. I'm just kind of placing. And I'm going to take kind of the bigger pieces first to help place, so I know exactly how I want to handle that, and then I'll start filling in with the smaller ones. This one is similar. This is a nice long piece that will be nice to kind of drape over. So I'll probably want to place that at what is going to be the front of my planter so it can drape over. So I think I am going to put this one probably in the middle. Since this is another bigger piece that I have and it's a similar purple color, I'm going to make sure that I don't put it up next to this one. I'm going to maybe place that on the other side, maybe around in this area. And so I'm just continuing on, kind of working my way from the larger pieces to the smaller ones, just figuring out how I want to balance everything out. Now, I do have some that are really small little pieces, and yes, each one of these did count as one piece in the set of 30. But I do feel like these probably work together as a trio rather than putting one in 3 different spots. So I do think I'm going to count this as one and figure out where I want to put this. So I'm taking a moment to kind of survey, and I feel like I've only got one tall thing down here, pretty good here, nothing too tall, but more round and bulbous here, tall. So that's helping me as I have a few more tall pieces to make sure that I'm evening things out and putting them equitably throughout. And I'm doing the same thing in terms of looking at the color. Now that I've got everything laid out and I'm kind of looking it over and I like how the distribution looks right now, I'm going to go ahead and start placing them in. Of course, the great thing about the foam is, you know, I can stick something in, and once I get it all done, if I don't like anything, I can move it around. You know, obviously I can keep sticking things in and out as much as I need, but I think this gives me a pretty good baseline to start with, and so we'll do that and see how we're liking it. And as I'm placing these in, I'm making sure that I'm distributing them, you know, at different spots from front to back of this, just to make sure I have some good distribution. And once again, I'm kind of placing the bigger pieces first, just because I feel like that's easier for me to see how it's shaping up as I'm going along. I am finding that in some cases, I don't want to push things all the way down to the top of the foam, because I am going to be coming back in and filling in with more rocks, and so that'll cover up any stems that are standing up out of the foam. So that also keeps me from losing some of the height, because I definitely don't want things to get below the edge of my planter itself. I feel like this one is not filled in well, so I think I'm going to kind of replace some of the things in here. All right, so let's see how we're looking. I think overall I really like this. I'm obviously been moving some things around as I go and can see how it's working out. In some cases I find myself battling between wanting to distribute height and wanting to distribute color, so but yeah. Now I'm going to distribute the remaining rocks to fill in and cover up the foam, but I have to be a little bit more careful this time because I don't want to move anything that I have precision placed. So it's going to be a little pickier to do. Now that I've got the rocks spread out, I might wish I had just a few more rocks. There's a few places where I can see the foam. And so it's not a big deal because I do have this decorative moss. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with taking some of the decorative moss and just covering in a few of the spots where I can see the foam. But I actually really like the way the rocks look. And so I don't think I want to try to cover everything with the moss. So I'm just going to put it in some places where I feel like there's a little bald spot or bare spot, and we'll kind of go from there. So the thing that I really liked about this set of moss is that it comes in a variety set with a lot of different colors. So if there's also some places where I feel like I want to add in some different colors around stuff, then I can go ahead and choose the colors based on that. So we'll just kind of use that to help add a little bit more color into this. I don't want it to start looking too outlandish or like something that doesn't actually occur in nature too much, but obviously I'm using artificial succulents, so I'm not really worried about it being too authentic. So right now I'm just kind of tearing off some of the moss and just placing it around the base of a few of the succulents. I could even use this to maybe move some rocks out of the way, kind of place this down and almost bury it under the rocks again if I don't want too much of this showing but need to use it to help cover that foam. So just a lot of options, but this foam is really neat. It also is not only different colors, but also different textures. Some of it's real thin, where some of it's a little bit thicker, bigger shaped, so good variety in here. So here's my finished product. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'll probably still continue to tweak it after I get it in its final resting place because that's just what I do. But overall, I really like it. I actually liked how the moss added a little bit more dimension and color and things to it. And so probably my lesson learned from that is just, if I was to do this again, is just plan on using it and maybe go ahead and start putting that around before I finish out with that last bit of rocks. But I'm not going to redo this or anything. But I think what I like is having the moss down and then having the rocks kind of on top of it rather than the moss just on top of the rocks, just to make it look a little bit more integrated. So I'll go ahead and insert some shots of the planter in its resting place so you can see what I designed it for. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. It really does help me here on YouTube. Also, I hope you'll consider subscribing if you're not already so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Otherwise, until next time, bye.